everyone. My name is Shaniqua Robinson, and I am the owner and creator of Jesus Girl Entertainment. Tonight, for our first official podcast on this network, we're going to be talking about discouragement. I know we're living in a time where nobody wants to talk about the negative. Everybody wants to highlight the positive. And I will do a lot of highlighting of the positive, but I want to also touch on some of those things that we don't necessarily talk about. And discouragement is definitely one of them. Being that we are living in a time that many people are stepping out on faith, many people are pursuing their dreams, many people are believing God for some great and big things, I believe that it's necessary for us to talk about what happens when you step out on faith, you put all of your ducks in a row, you have your I's dotted, your T's crossed, the vision written, and you made it plain, you prayed over it, you touched and agreed with others, and then you step out and it doesn't quite go the way that you expected it to go. Or you don't quite get that feedback that you expected you just don't get the feedback that you expected. What do you do then? Do you just throw in the towel, erase the dream, get rid of the vision, and say that you don't want to do this anymore? Or do you kind of like suck it up and say, it didn't happen this time, but I just still have strong faith that it'll happen next time? Many people would say the second answer, when in reality, many of us actually go with the first part. We don't necessarily throw it out, but we may say, I'm through with it. For example, I'll be very transparent. There was a time in my life when I experienced homelessness for the first time. I was so upset and frustrated and embarrassed that something like this could happen to me, especially because I felt as if I was doing things the right way. That when it was time for me to face up to the eviction and grab and gather my things from the apartment, I was putting all of my things inside of my car. Amongst those things, I had a keyboard, a short little small keyboard, and a laptop. And I realized that my little small car wasn't big enough to carry all of those things. So I could have thrown some other things away. I had to throw away many clothes, many shoes, many things that I really wanted. But I said, you know what? I'm going to throw this keyboard away and I'm going to throw this laptop away, because what's the point of me creating? What's the point of me doing anything? Because I'm being evicted. It's like, this is embarrassing. This is devastating. I'm going to throw these items in the garbage. And I did. And I kind of felt, this was years ago. So I kind of felt like, you know what? I'm done with it. At that time, I had written a book, not fully, but I had gotten 9 chapters in. But I was so discouraged and so disappointed that I was like, you know what? What's the point? What's the use? Well, flash forward 2 or 3 years down the line, that vision just kept nagging at me. It's like it just would not leave me alone. So, again, I was forced to, at least pay it some kind of attention. So I picked up a phone. I didn't have a laptop because I had thrown it away and every idea and dream that came with it. And I downloaded the Word app and I started to write again. And I didn't have the original writing, but I had the memories and it was based upon my life, and I began to write again. So flash forward to current days, that book is in the process of being released fairly soon, and I thank God for it. But the reason that I wanted to come and do this podcast tonight is because discouragement is something real and disappointment is even realer. And I think when you're a person of influence, especially when God has a strong call and anointing on your life, there's not many people that you'll be able to confide in. Maybe that's just my story. I don't know if others can relate, but I have, in my time of living, been disappointed, not just in, things not going the way that it was supposed to go, but in people that I entrusted with information that was sacred, with information that was, near and dear to my heart, to the point that it's like, not really wanting to step out in that trusting of another person. Again, and God will heal me in that area, but He is healing me in that area, correction. But I wanted to say that we don't have these conversations because many people are guarded and shielded because of not being able to fully trust people. And then especially if you're a creative, you're like, I don't want to tell anybody my idea because they're going to steal it. Because people steal. They do. They will take that idea. I have put just some ideas out randomly on posts, and I have seen people take them and take them to the bank. I mean, create it and bring it to pass. And I was actually listening in on something, and someone said that it was a real estate. I believe it was a real estate class I was sitting in, but they said that the deal doesn't pass. It just goes to someone who knows what they're doing. So I'll kind of paraphrase it and make it make a little bit more sense. What it is that you're dreaming of or that you have an idea to do and accomplish, it's not going to go away. It's not going to just evaporate. God will give you a space of time to create it. And if you just make up your mind, I'm just not going to do it, then he will go on to the next person. But I believe sometimes, so that's what separates the call from the chosen. Because if you're chosen to do something, you don't really have a choice. You're going to have to do it regardless. But the people that are kind of called, then he'll just use somebody else, But if the idea is just, laying dormant, and especially if you put it out there and you're not going to really put the legwork to it, then other people will come and grab it and do something with it. And so let's get back on track with the discouragement piece. So how do we overcome that? I never want to present anything if I don't have a solution. And I'm not a major solutionist. I don't have a license in this area, but I can just tell you what has worked for me. And I just pray that it helps you. It's prayer. It's encouraging yourself. I was sitting in a counseling session, and when I was in the counseling, it was actually a group session. The woman of God, what she said was, if you're feeling like you want to cry, then cry. Don't withhold that emotion. She said, release it, live in that emotion, because what will happen is if you don't, it'll turn into anger. And I believe that's why so many people are like at their lid right now. A lot of people are short. I've seen people in Walmart of all different race persuasions getting upset and, coming out of character because they're frustrated with what's going on and being forced in their houses, wearing masks and so many stipulations, and everything is changing, and just very, frustrated and angry. But I want to stay on track. So with being sad, with being discouraged, with being disappointed, you don't have to pretend that it didn't hurt. I remember I auditioned for something, and I had really had the faith for it. I was like, I'm going to make this audition. This is another experience. This is a little bit more recent. And I was like, all of that pain and all of that stuff that I went through, I'm going to take all of those lessons that I learned, and this is it. This is what I need to be doing. And I had it all set up. And I did the audition, and I'm just waiting for my call back. And almost 2 days passed, and I was like, I know I got it now, because this is, this is taking some time to come back. And it said, denied. You didn't get it. And I remember feeling so hurt that I was like, what? I'm okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. That didn't bother me. I'm okay. And I had told people about it. It's different when you feel in private because you don't have to share with anybody. But when you fail publicly, it's like, oh my gosh, now I got to show my face before these people. And so I had told some people that were close to me that I was going to audition. Of course, they were like, I'm in prayer for you. They were believing God for it. And when it didn't happen, I had to tell them, and to see their look of disappointment, it made me even more disappointed. But of course, I tried to smile it off. It's okay, guys. Don't worry about it. It's okay, And then eventually, a few days passed. I said, you know what? That kind of hurt. And I admitted it to someone. I said that did hurt, because this is something that I really feel that I'm supposed to be doing, and I really built myself up for this, and why didn't it happen? Like, I feel discouraged about this. I feel disappointed that this didn't happen for me. But the lesson that I learned, that I really feel like God truly was pressing upon my heart, is rejection is not rejection, it's redirection. And I want you guys to take that into consideration. Rejection is never rejection. It's always redirection. I have a sister that has tried many sports in this past season. And one sport wasn't really quite her thing, but she never quit. She kept going. And so now she's in a new season and she's trying a different sport and she loves it. And my question is just, is this working for you? And she said, yes, I love it. And so that's even a lesson in itself. One thing may not be your thing, but you got to try it. You got to go. You have to, that rejection, that not getting it, that missing the mark on certain things, it helps you to figure out this may not be my thing, but maybe this is my thing. And you just keep trying until you figure it out, because a failure, if you don't try, if you don't try it at least, you'll never know what your thing is. That's the same thing with dating. The same thing with finding your significant other. I finally reached a point where I was comfortable with talking about past relationships with certain people and realizing in my heart I have love for every single person that I've ever had an intimate relationship with, because of the lesson that it taught me at that time. And this is even sacred to share, because sometimes we get out of relationships and it's supposed to be a hate thing, or it's supposed to be a this person versus this person kind of thing. But I'm not at that place now. I'm not there. I was at one point in time, but I'm not there, because it was always a lesson. It was never a loss. It was always a lesson and a redirection. And it taught me something about myself. Actually speaking to a young person today, and they were very transparent about some things that happened in their relationship that caused it to fail. And the main thing that they were expressing is that they were so concerned about changing me that they didn't focus on changing themselves. And it was a valid point, because we do that. We want to put the pressure on somebody else. We want to put the blame on somebody else, instead of really taking that time to look at ourselves, taking that time to reevaluate ourselves and see what it is within ourselves that we can change, within ourselves that we can become better. Because I'll tell you a secret. Life is progressing forward. You can stay bitter, you can stay angry, you can stay in that place if you want to, but the time is not going to go backwards. You're not going to get a do-over. It's not going to work in your favor if you just decide you're going to sit in this pity place and not do anything about your life. And then what happens is you wake up and you're disgusted with what is taking place with your life, because you refuse to get out of that place. You refuse to take that negative and turn it into a positive. That's another thing I want to kind of just give some help on today. Energy is energy, okay? So negative, positive, there is energy. You can choose how you want to respond to a situation. We can't always determine what's going to happen to us, but we have full control over how we respond. And I'm going to end this one in about a minute. So this was my first one from the Jesus Girl podcast, and it's only going to be about 15 minutes long. So we're going to end in a little bit. If something bad happens to you and you return that negative energy, you put that negative energy back out, it'll take you down. It'll take you down and down and down and down and down. But if you refuse to return that negative energy and you decide, I'm going to take this lemon that was thrown at me and I'm going to create something. I know for sure I am a creative. I am in my happiest place when I'm creating. I was created by a creator to create. Creation is what I do. And when I decide that I am not going to create because I'm so frustrated, it doesn't just frustrate, it doesn't just go away. It frustrates my entire life, because I was created to create. You were created to create or produce something. And when we don't know what our purpose is, when we don't know what our thing is, it can frustrate us so much that now we're negative, or now we're gossipers, or now we're involved in unhealthy relationships, or now we're doing any and everything to try to figure out what our niche is. We're all out of place. We're all over the place. We're not conducive. We're not helping anyone because we're not in our space. So if you have dealt with discouragement, if you have dealt with disappointment, or you're dealing with it currently, my word of encouragement to you would be to get in that place, pray about it, ask God to help you, And it's going to be a process. This is not something that's going to happen in a 5 seconds. You're not going to go to sleep and then wake up and it's all fixed. It's going to take some work on your part, as well as some cooperation with heaven to bring it to pass. But first, acknowledge your wrongs. Acknowledge what you may have done. Don't beat yourself down. Don't crucify yourself. Don't be so negative against yourself, but at least acknowledge it. And once you acknowledge it, release it. Don't even hold it long. Just, I did it. Okay, here, God, I'm sorry. I repent of it. Help me to clean up my life, because I have a purpose and people connected to me need to see me healed. I'm a mother. My daughters, my sons deserve to see their mother healed. I'm a daughter. My parents deserve to see their daughter healed. I'm a friend. My friends deserve the whole portion of me. I am a congregant. I'm a member of congregations. I help out different ministries. Those people that I'm joined to, they deserve to have the full, whole, healthy version of me. Not the version that's flawed, not the version that's scarred, not the version that's bruised and has been battered, because that version of me doesn't even give them the fullness of who I am. So I want you to just really find yourself in that place, pray, ask God to help you to heal, and let's move over this place, this hump of discouragement and disappointment, because there is better on the other end of this. It may have felt like the end of the world, but if you still have breath in your lungs, it is not. We are seeing people, great, anointed, amazing people leave the earth, and that have fulfilled their purposes, and some that still were just on the brink of it. You still have a purpose. God can take, even in these lies, He can take even in what you seem to be something small and make it something so magnificent. So don't count yourself out. Get yourself in a posture of prayer, a place of peace, a healthy space. Pray about it, cry about it, be transparent. Don't be so hard. I know life has taught us, especially women, to be strong. I was sharing it with somebody, and growing up in a impoverished area, being a young woman, not even a young woman yet, just a young girl, I had to, frown or be come off as aggressive, because if you didn't, then the men would be honking their horns and saying inappropriate things. And so you give off this hard exterior, because this is saying that when you have that kind of expression, it'll make a person leave you alone, versus if you're being nice and smiling, then they feel like that's a green card, or that's an opportunity for them to approach you. And now becoming a young lady and raising young lady is like, I have to really do away with all of that hardness and all of that, just that hard exterior that was formed as a form of protection over the course of years for myself, so that my daughters can see that elegant side of me. And so I'm telling you, with God, you can be transparent. With God, you can be weak. With God, if you smile, if you let down your guards, He's not going to take advantage of you. He's going to come in and love on you and teach you how to love properly and properly groom you, so that you'll be a better fit for the suitable match. And so I want you to be encouraged. I want you to be encouraged. Be encouraged in God. Let Him help you through this. I know that it's hard. Let Him walk you through it. Accept the task of the process, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight, because we didn't get this way overnight. And really deal with those things, because I think people try to cover up. This is important, because people try to cover up wounds with achievements, and that never works. Eventually something gonna seep through the cracks. I tried to do it too, and I'd be running for a while and then eventually run out of gas, because I didn't let God really deal with that place in my life that needed healing. So don't try to cover it up. Really allow Him to heal those places that are wounded, so that we can move past discouragement and disappointment. God bless you.